let's see if we can walk you through at least parts of the situation analysis. A lot of it's relatively easy, but some of it gets to be a little bit more gnarly, and so we'll see. Let's go to the complete now. Again, if you get logged in and you're on the dashboard, it comes right down there to the situation analysis. So we click on that, and that brings up this, and read these, okay? Read these, and it kind of makes sense. Allows you to know what you're going to be getting into, I guess, a little bit. I think this is one of those things that if you kind of take your time and do it like it explains, versus just trying to muddle your way through it, it'll save you a lot of time in the end. That's kind of my interpretation of it. What I would do and what I have done, these two down here you're going to need. Okay, so what I did is I just did a right click, open in a new tab, and that brought up, actually I brought this up, and then I clicked the view in HTML. You could you could view it in PDF form too. Either way is fine. PDF's actually a little bigger, might be kind of nice. And then same thing with the industry's condition report. I did a right click, and it came up just like this. So this didn't give me the option to view it in PDF. Okay. So, but then I go back, so I've got those three open, but I go back to the first one, and I just click on next. Okay. Again, this one just shows me some stuff. This is pretty easy. This first page, I don't have to do anything, but it might be kind of cool to watch. It shows you where your product demand is going to go throughout the game. Okay, and it explains a few other things to you that you're going to need to know. Okay, then you click next, and it talks about the ideal spot, and intuitively we might look at this and think the ideal spot for each product is dead center, but that's not the case. You'll see that these ones, it's I'll call it ahead of center, remembering that our demand's moving this way, and in the low end it's actually behind center. Only in the traditional is it really dead center, and so it tells you, let's calculate where the ideal spot is. And let me add to that too, and this I don't think it explains it in here, but the ideal spot's not even actually the ideal spot, because we're looking at this right now in a static state, but these are constantly moving. Okay, we don't necessarily see them constantly moving, but during a round it's constantly moving. And so if we wanted our product to be nearest the ideal spot for most of a year or a round, we'd actually need to start it out here ahead of that spot, because the customer demand is going to drift through, right? Drift is a word we'll use often. It's going to drift through that ideal spot. And so only if we start out here, we might be, let's call it half a spot off, right? And then we might be spot on for the briefest a second. At the end, we would end up half a spot behind it, okay? But that's as close as we could get, okay? So this asks us to go ahead and calculate ideal spots, and we find out, for example, now we look at the table at the bottom. Look at the bottom of the table, see how much the ideal spot, low end segment, right? It has a performance specification of 3 and a size specification of 17 for the first round. But if we look at the bottom of the table, we see how much it should be offset, okay? And these offsets stay the same throughout throughout the game. Okay, throughout the rounds, it'll stay the same, the amount of the offset. Obviously, again, remember the customer demand keeps moving. Okay, so in the low end, and this always kind of gets me, but we're working on the low end here. And so for round 0, right, this is asking us what would be our ideal spot, and I'm going to do some of this math in my head, but on the performance, our deal should be 1.7, right? 2.5 minus 0.8, and our size should be a little bit bigger than that. So 17.5 plus 0.8 should be equal to 18.3, if my math is correct. And in the first round, then it actually gives me the first round ones, so which is 2.2, and I want to show you this kind of cool little trick here though, and 17.8. Okay, now hit enter. Oh, then click on this one over here. Okay, I'm sorry, enter didn't work. I had to click on the next one. But you'll see it auto-filled the rest of them. So I just have to do these ones that are in the darker green. Okay, or in the shaded green, I should say, not just rounded. Okay, and I've given you that one, so you guys could fill those in and it'll finish it for you. But you need to do the rest of those then. Okay, onward. Again, I would say take your time a little bit and it'll be easier. Read these. Okay, I'm kind of scrolling down them instead of just reading them for you, but you guys ought to read these. So now we're going to industry demand. Okay, well, what we note is that for each product, right, we have a certain demand, and it also tells us what the growth rate is. Okay, and so we can calculate then what our demand should be for the next year based on that growth rate. Okay, and I think it's going to ask us the segment analysis reports, pages 5 through 9 of the Capstone Courier for round 0, and we're also going to need the industry conditions report. So those are the two things, right, that we've opened up there. Okay, so what we're going to do here is a little bit of math, and let's start with the traditional, and we're going to say, okay, in round 0, and I'm going to scroll down maybe a little quicker than, okay, because I'm going to get down here to this segment analysis, it's called, and here's the traditional. Okay, my total industry unit demand is 7,387. Okay, my next year's segment growth rate, don't confuse it with segment percent of the total industry, my next year's segment growth rate is 9.9%. Okay, well, I need to put that percent in here. Okay, and I honestly, I'm not sure if normally if I was going to enter 9.9, it'd be 0.099, right? I don't know if that's going to be correct or not. No. Okay, so it wants you to enter it as 9.9. It must already have the math figured in there. Okay, so then I have to calculate using the 9.9%, and I hope that's right, what my demand is going to be next year. Okay, well, using simple math, and I'll bring up my calculator here, then I take my demand from this year, 7,387 units, and I multiply that by, the shortcut is to just multiply that by 1.099. Okay, 1 plus my growth rate. Okay, really what that's saying is that I'm going to be multiplying it by this, kind of by itself, plus whatever the growth rate is, and adding that all in one step, which is kind of nice. So I'll hit times 1.099. Okay, hit my equals, and I come up with 8118.31. So I'm going to round everything. We just want to do even numbers. Okay, and so use your rounding, 8118. Okay, now hopefully I did this right and it'll autofill. Okay, did some. There's a little delay there, so sometimes it does. So enter these as whole numbers, even though that's not how we normally would, right? And then calculate these. It rounded that up, and it actually corrected it for me. So it may want you to round these up if they're over a decimal. So you might have to be a little sensitive to that as you're going through them if you need to round it. But it automatically did that one for me. So I guess if you're off one, maybe it'll automatically fix it. Onward. Capacity analysis, and this is kind of a little bit important. Now, it's a lot important that you need to know throughout this game that the capacity that it gives you here in the Courier, and let's go have a look at that, okay, which is under this product information, Okay, it lists capacity in this column. Everybody starts the same. But this is just for the first shift. We have the ability to have 2 shifts. Okay, we're going to pay overtime if we do, but we have that ability. So for the first shift, if we have the ability to do 2 shifts, obviously our capacity then in the second shift would be the same. So our capacity is 2 times, our actual capacity is 2 times the first shift. Okay, so if we come in and we're looking at our traditional product, and they've actually given it to us here, so I don't have to go look at this, but I could. Okay, my capacity for next round is 1,800 units for first shift. So I'm going to just go ahead and fill that in. Now, then it asks me, what's the industry capacity? Well, Okay, well, there's 6 teams, and right, we're all going to start the same, and so it's 6 times 1,800, right? So I'm just going to clear, and then I'm going to just say 6 times 1,800 equals, so 10,800. Now that's again first shift capacity. Okay, first and second shift capacity, then remember I said it's double this, and so that math I should be able to do in my head, which is 3,600. And then the industry, okay, again I can double this, or I could take it this times 6. In either event, it looks like I'm going to come up with about 21,600. Okay. Then I have to do a few other things. It tells me found under automation next round. So automation level, let's just go figure that out. So for my traditional, my automation next round is going to be 4. Okay, so I just enter that in. But what's my cost to double my capacity? So if I want to go from 1,800 to 3,600, this isn't the cost for a second shift. This is actually to double capacity. So increase in capacity is $6 per unit with an adjustment for automation. Okay, so the formula is first shift capacity times 6 plus 4 times the automation level. Ooh, okay, I almost need Excel then to do that. Okay, so 6 plus, and then there's a parenthesis, 4 times the automation level. So in this case then, it should be equal to, my automation level's 4, and I need to take it times 4, so that's 16, just remember that. 6 plus 16 should be equal to 22, okay? And then I got to take 22 times my first shift capacity of 1,800, so let's do that. 22 times 1,800 is equal to, so 39600. Ooh, okay. Now, if I'm still just thinking about my first shift capacity here, but I get increasing automation is per unit of capacity. So if I were to increase automation, not after I doubled my capacity, but just here at the beginning, my formula is my first shift capacity times $4 times 10 minus my automation level. Okay, so my automation level is 4. 10 minus my automation level is 10 minus 4, 6. So I've got 4 times 6 is 24 times my first shift capacity, which is times 1,800. So I should be able to say that I got 24 times 1,800 is equal to 43,000 or 43,2. That's actually 43. It's all in zeros, so that's actually in millions. Okay, this is 1.8 million, 10.8 million, 3.6 million. These are all in millions, so it cost me 43 million, a decent amount of money. Okay, and normally we wouldn't do that in one round. You know, we would add capacity and or add automation in each round at a time. So, okay. So there you go. Now, I want to see, I don't know if I finish this, if it's going to autofill this first round, or I might have to finish all of this for it to autofill. But my first shift capacity for my low end, and actually I can get that right up here, is 1400. Let's see, I just want to see if that'll autofill. Yep. Okay. So I know I did that one right. Okay. So you can do those kind of one at a time and make sure they did them right. Hopefully I did these ones right to give you guys a good example. Onward. Margin analysis. Well, we want to calculate our margins, and we end up asking a lot of questions on homework and even in the test that you'll end up taking, that CompXM, that have to do with margins. Okay, because margins are really important. Okay, they're important in real life and they're important in this game. Really, really important. And margins are, in our case, we're going to talk about contribution margin, which you could also probably call a gross profit. It'd be basically the same as gross profit margin. I'm sorry, gross profit margin. Gross profit is the dollar amount. Gross profit margin, or contribution margin, is the percentage. Okay. So again, we come here and it gives us some of this stuff, right? And we can also get it from our Capstone Courier if we want to, but this makes it a little bit easy. We know that our traditional product has a price of 28 bucks. Okay, and we just fill this in. Our material cost is $11.59. Our labor cost is $7.49. Do we have a second shift? We don't. Okay, that was found right here. We will for the low end. Okay, but we don't. Okay, and all it asks us to do is put yes or no, and so in this case it's no. Okay. So what's my contribution margin then for a dollar amount? Well, it's just simply equal to my price minus my cost. Looks like my costs are about $19. My price is $28. So it's going to be about $9, but I better do the math and do it right so it's clear. I just got 28 minus 11.59 minus 7.49 is equal to $8.92. My contribution margin percentage then is, what percentage is this of my price? Okay, what percentage is that of my price? And to do that, I just have to divide this by my price. Okay, and that'll give me my contribution margin. Well, I've got my $8.92 still up there. Okay, or I could plug that in, but then all I have to do is hit divided by my $28 price. Okay, my contribution margin there is 31.86%, and I don't know, let's try 31.86, and hopefully it's okay. Okay, again, you might have to, they might want you to round that up to 32, okay, or maybe it's just 31.9. You might have to mess with that a little bit. Okay, and again, I think if I finish this, it should autofill. My price for the low end is 21, and it does. It kind of autofills the rest of it. So, okay, now we have to determining my margin potential. What happens if I can charge the absolute most that's allowed, and then get my cost down to the absolute minimum? Then what would my contribution margin and whatnot be? Okay, well, let's take a look. Okay, it gives us, when we look at our segment analysis on the Courier here, okay, it tells us what the price is, right? The maximum price that the customers are willing to spend. On the traditional one, the maximum that they're willing to spend is 30 bucks. Okay, so we can just kind of feed that in. I don't know if it gives it to us up here. I don't think so. Okay, so let's put in that $30. Okay, What's the minimum material? Well, we have to do some calculating. To calculate the minimum material cost per segment using the following equation and table below. The minimum material cost is equal to my lowest acceptable MTBF times 0.3 divided by 1,000 plus the trailing edge position cost. Wow. Okay. Well, here's my trailing edge cost, gives that to me. But I've got to calculate based on the lowest acceptable MTBF times 0.3. Well, I need to go back to my segment analysis. Okay. Reliability, my lowest acceptable MTBF in the traditional segment is 14,000. Okay, 14,000. So I've got 14,000 times 0.3 divided by 1,000. Well, let's do these in order. So let's clear this. I got 14,000 times, I might have said divided by, but it's times 0.3, okay, and then that's divided by 1,000, okay, that's equal to 4.2. And my trailing edge cost is 3.8, so my minimum material cost is $8. Okay, then I got to calculate my minimum labor cost. So calculate the minimum labor cost for each segment. Assume a base labor cost of $11.20. It's a rough estimate of labor cost used solely to illustrate the margin potential concept. So minimum labor cost is equal to $11.20 minus 1.12 times the automation ratings below plus 1.12. Okay, and we got parentheses in kind of weird areas here, right? These are all in parentheses, and then 1.12 is at the end. So what that means is I have to take my 1.12 times my automation rating first, and in the traditional that's 8. So let's go do that. Okay, so let's hit the clear, and I got 1.12 times my automation rating of 8, okay, is equal to 8.96. Okay, now I have to subtract that from $11.20 before I add back in this 1.12. Okay, so let's remember 8.96. I could do the memory thing, but I think it's easier just to remember it. 8.96. So I'm going to hit my clear, and I'm going to go $11.20 minus 8.96 equals that, plus, then now I'm past the parentheses, so I can add back in that $1.12. 1.12 equals $3.36 is my minimum labor. Okay, so what's my contribution margin in dollars, or gross profit? It's 30 minus 8 minus 3, 36, right? Let's do that. So 30 minus 8 minus 3.36. So it'd be $18.64. Ooh, hit a wrong button there, didn't I? 18.64. Okay. And then to figure out the contribution margin percentage, I just divide that by the price. Okay, divided by 30 is equal to 62.13. 62.13%. Wow, that'd be huge, wouldn't it? Just absolutely huge. Okay, so that's then again, you just have to go along and do that. Okay. For each of those. Onward. Consumer report. I kind of already finished some of these. So the consumer report will help the research and development department understand the need to design quality products in the marketing department, the importance of adequate pricing, Okay, you'll need the buying criteria from the segment analysis pages and the production analysis in round 0, in the round 0 capstone courier. So I'm going to need that, right? Okay, to score an A, to score a B, Okay, if things, price and reliability are shown as ranges above, a score of A represents the ideal third of the range, a score of B represents the middle third of the range, and a score of C represents the least acceptable third of the range. This example above is for the traditional segment, but you have to do a similar analysis then for other segments. And so let's look at the low end then. Okay, because I kind of did that, and I've already done this one. You know, this one's already set in there. And again, if you figure out the price and reliability, it'll figure out the other ones for you. So for the price, I came up with a B. Okay, I got to scroll down to the low end statistics. And what this is saying is that my price was, and I got to kind of come down here, is 21 bucks. Okay, the other thing I need to look at is reliability, which is MTBF. My MTBF is 14,000. Okay, well, how's that fit in here? The price here is high is 25 to a low of 15, so there's a difference of 10, and so I need to divide that into thirds. So it'd be $3.33. I probably set this up maybe even use a spreadsheet, because so the lower third would obviously be $18.33. And then from there to $21.66 or 67 cents would be the middle third, and above that would be the top third. Well, where am I at? I'm in the middle third because my price is 21 bucks, and so I put in a B. Okay. Reliability is similar. My reliability is 14, and the minimum is 12, and the maximum is 17,000. So 1,667, I think, then per third. Okay, so the bottom would go from 12,000 to 13,667, and then the next one would go to from there to 14,333. Maybe it's 15,333. I think 15,333. Okay. And so again, my MTBF falls in the middle of that, and so I give that a B, and it autofills then my age positioning. So you're just dividing all of those things into thirds and rating it either then a A through a C. And you guys again would need to do that for there, and then guess what? You would be done. So congratulations and good luck.